Friends, welcome back. Here is our next case study number 35 from CA Final Audit MCQs and Case-Based Scenarios booklet issued by ICAI. Let's go through the question. Mr. Tushar Jalani is a CA as well as a CMA who is working as an internal auditor in GUMS Reality Limited on full-time employment basis. In his visiting card, he has mentioned that he is a chartered accountant as well as cost accountant. During the month of May 2020, he was approached by the director of the company, Mr. Kunal Satpan, to write his personal books of accounts from FY 2020 to 21 onwards, and also to file his income tax return, which was accepted by Mr. Tushar. Mr. Dinesh Batra, the partner of Batra and Company, a CA firm, was appointed as an expert during financial year 2020 to 21. By giving a written consent to Gomez Reality Limited with respect to issue of prospectus by the company, whereby he provided a report on the valuation of company, and one person who has subscribed to the securities of the company alleged that he had suffered a loss because of omission of a matter in the valuation report provided in the prospectus. Mr. Dinesh had not withdrawn his consent at any time as an expert, and he firmly believed that it was correct and fair representation of a statement and the valuation report. The fees charged by Mr. Dinesh for the said assignment was on the basis of percentage of valuation. Vedya and Company was appointed as the statutory auditor of Gomez Reality Limited from financial year 2018 to 19 onwards for 5 consecutive years. However, during FY 2020-21, it does not offer itself for reappointment as an auditor of such company owing to certain personal reasons, and communication with respect to the same was made to the relevant authorities. Kaser and Associates was then appointed as a statutory auditor of Gomez Reality Limited for financial year 2020-21, and Mr. Raj Kaser was appointed as engagement partner for the said assignment. Brother of one of the partners of the said firm holds 18% share in Batra and Company since 2017, and who is also a chartered accountant by profession. Mr. Raj decided to take direct assistance from Mr. Tushar in accordance with the procedure as prescribed in SA 610, and in that connection he inquired about the fraud risk in the organization from him. Prior to taking such direct assistance, Mr. Raj communicated the same to the relevant authority in the company, and also that he directed, supervised, and reviewed the work performed by Mr. Tushar. On the basis of the above mentioned facts, you are required to answer the following questions. So let's go to the first MCQ. Whether Mr. Tushar can be held guilty under Part 1 of the first schedule of CA Act 1949. Yes, he is held guilty under clause 7 because he mentioned CA as well as CMA, cost accountant and chartered accountant. So from clause 7 of part 1 of schedule to Chartered Accountants Act states that a chartered accountant in practice will be held guilty if he advertises his professional attainments or services or uses any designation or expressions other than the chartered accountant on professional documents, visiting cards, letterheads, or signboards, unless it to be a degree of university published by law in India. Therefore, he is held guilty under clause 7 of part 1 of first schedule to CA Act 1949. Therefore, option B is the correct option. Whether any civil liability can be imposed upon Mr. Dinesh. See, Mr. Dinesh is provided his valuation report, which is issued in the prospectus, right? And he firmly believed that there is no misrepresentation or unfair representation of facts. So he won't be held guilty if he proves that he had a reason what he is contending for. Therefore, option A, no, if he is able to prove what he is contending. So Mr. Dinesh, if he is able to prove his statement that he acted in correct and fair means, so in that case he won't be held guilty. He won't be under any civil liability. If not, he'll be held liable. Therefore, option A is the correct option. However, all other options are saying yes, whether or not he is exercising his due diligence and whether or not he is withdrawing and he is defending his own knowledge and the copy, as he has given his consent for the delivery of the copy to the prospectus. All this were nonsense. If he is able to prove what he is contending for, then he won't be held guilty, or else he'll be held guilty. Okay, therefore option A, no civil liability can be imposed on Mr. Dinesh if he is able to prove what he is contending for. And then moving on to question number 35.3, whether it was appropriate for Mr. Raj to take direct assistance from Tushar for the matter as aforesaid. So what Mr. Raj is taking assistance for, what he's taking? He's taking his direct assistance for fraud risks in the organizations, right? So as regard to the fraud, he can obviously inquire Mr. Tushar as to what has happened and what is currently going on, what kind of action was taken when the fraud was detected. However, he cannot discuss further upon the fraud, because he is the one, he means Mr. Raj is the one who need to take decision and provide his opinion on the financial statements. So inquiring from Mr. Tushar is fine. However, discussing in more detail and taking the direct assistance from Mr. Tushar for his audit review is not correct. Therefore, we'll go through the options. Option A says no, as it renta amounts to taking direct assistance from internal auditor for making significant judgments in the audit. No, inquiry is permitted. It is not completely disallowed for the statutory auditor. However, he can take direct assistance. He can inquire into the matter with the help of internal auditor. However, he cannot take the direct assistance, means he cannot discuss the matter with him, and because this is a matter of significant judgment to be made by the statutory auditor. Therefore, option A, option C, and option D were completely nonsense, because statutory auditor can inquire into the matter with the internal auditor. Therefore, option B says yes, and as inquiry is allowed to be done, and having a discussion with respect to the said matter is not appropriate. So obviously, statutory auditor can inquire the internal auditor about the fraud risk of the organization. However, he cannot take complete direct assistance from the internal auditor. Therefore, option B is the correct option. Then going to the next thing, in accordance with SA 610, with what standards on auditing respectively Mr. Raj would have made communication for taking direct assistance from Mr. Tushar, and also directed, supervised, and reviewed the work performed by him. So it's what is there in the question is the answer. So review, supervise, and directed on the work performed by Mr. Tushar is obviously SA 220, quality of work done by others, and to whom he should make such communication. It is obviously those charged with governance. So it is SA 260, communication to those charged with governance. Therefore, option D is the correct option as per SA 260 and SA 220 respectively. Okay, this is straightforward question, and moreover the answer is within the question. Let's go through the next question. To which authorities Vedya and company would have made the communication, and whether there was any obligation on the part of Kesar and Associates with respect to such communication made. So what was the communication that Vedya and company has to do? It needs to communicate to both. The communication should be sent both through the board of directors and also the ICAI, right? So a communication has to be directed to board of directors of Gomez Reality Limited and ICAI, as it was obligatory for Kesar and Associates to obtain a copy of such communication. Where is this written in your study material? I'll take you through it. See, Point number A says, where an auditor resigns his appointment as an auditor of a company or does not offer himself for reappointment as auditor of such company, he shall send a communication in writing to the board of directors of the company giving reasons. Therefore, if he considers that it was the professional reasons connected with his resignation or not offering himself for reappointment, which in his opinion should be brought to the notice of board of directors, and shall send a copy of such communication to the institute in the sense the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, the ICAI. It shall be the obligatory of the incoming auditor before accepting appointment to obtain a copy of such communication from the board of directors and consider the same before accepting the appointment. Here, the outgoing auditor, being Vedya and Company, has to send us communication to the board of directors of Gomez Realty Limited and also the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and it is obligatory for incoming auditor being Kesar and Associates to obtain such communication before accepting the appointment. So let's go through the options. Option A says Vedya and Company would have made a communication to the ICAI and the management for circulation among the shareholders of Gomez Limited. However, it was not obligatory for Kesar and Associates. So is this what is the guidance given? It is the obligatory of the incoming auditor to obtain such communication before accepting appointment as an auditor. Therefore, option A is wrong because it is saying it is not obligatory for Kesar and Associates. And then option B says Vedya and Company would have made the communication to ICAI only, which is not correct. Both the board of directors and the ICAI is the correct option. So option B is also wrong. Option C says Vedya and Company would have made the communication to board of directors of Gomez Realty Limited and the ICAI, as it was obligatory for Kesar and it was obligatory for Kesar and Associates to obtain a copy of such communication before accepting the appointment. So option C is the correct option. However, we'll go through option D as well. Vedya and Company would have made the communication to ICAI and it was obligatory for Kesar Limited to obtain a copy of such appointment before communication before making communication with the outgoing auditor relating to its appointment. So communicating with outgoing auditor about the incoming auditor's appointment is nowhere is completely illogical, and therefore option C is the correct option for this question. Being outgoing auditor to communicate it to board of directors and the ICA, and the internal incoming auditor should take the communication for before accepting the appointment as a statutory auditor. With that, we have completed case study number 35. We'll catch you again with case study number 36. Hope these videos were helpful to you. Please do like, share and subscribe and share it with your friends who are in need. Thank you for watching.